Hello kids, it's Miss Patty and welcome to Halloween Spark-tacular. I am so happy that you joined me today. Now I love Halloween. As you can see, I am a fancy witch and I can't wait to hear what you are. But I thought what we could do together is make some fun Halloween art projects. So we're gonna make a funny face pumpkin together. Now it doesn't just have to be funny, it can be scary or it could be frightened, whatever you want. And then we're gonna switch gears and make a couple of really fun, colorful monsters. So this little monster, he's kind of asymmetrical. Do you know what that means? It means that he doesn't have the same thing happening on one side as the other, kind of like this little guy or this little guy. So we're gonna make two monsters and you can follow along and do both, or you can kind of wait and see which one you like to create and do it a little bit later. If you're anything like me, you'll be making monsters all day long. We're gonna make our funny face pumpkin first. So here's what you're going to need. Now I have some painted paper, which is basically just white paper that's been painted over with tempera paint. I love making lots of these colors and having them on hand in my art studio. But if you don't have painted paper, that's okay. I'm using a piece of orange paper. I was gonna call it gray. I don't know why, but it's orange paper, just construction paper, 12 by 18. Now you're going to need a couple of scraps of white paper and some black paper. You're going to need something to draw with, a pair of scissors, some glue, whether you use white school glue or a glue stick, either one is good. And then if you would like to hang up your pumpkin, like maybe in your window, if you have a little hole punch, that'd be great. And also maybe a pipe cleaner or a piece of yarn. Okay kids, I'm trying to decide whether or not I should use my plain orange paper or my painted paper, and I think I'm gonna choose the painted paper. So here's what we're gonna do. I wanna make a pumpkin that is super big, so I'm using all of this paper. What I wanna do first is just fold my paper in half horizontally, and we're not gonna do anything special with this fold. All we wanna do is be able to see that fold line. Can you kind of see that? That tells me where the middle of my big piece of paper is. Now, what I want you to do is take a crayon or an oil pastel. It could be red or white. I'm choosing gray so you'll see it. And what I want you to do is take your little fingers, and I want you to take 3 fingers, or if you have really small hands, take your 4 fingers, and I want you to make a little dot right there, right on that crease, and then someplace really close to the bottom. See how the top one has a little bit of a distance between the top of the paper and this dot, but this one down here hardly has any room at all. Do you guys know what I'm gonna put up here? Can you guess? If you guessed the stem of the pumpkin, you're right. So you wanna leave a little space. Okay, are you ready to go? So grab your pencil or an oil pastel or a crayon and let's get started. So we're gonna put our crayon on that dot, and what I want you to do is look towards that bottom dot, and I want you to make a belly, but not too big of a belly, just a little belly, like he had just a little bit to eat. So I'm gonna go down, 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 and I'm gonna join up to that bottom dot. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I start at my top dot, and I'm gonna go out, 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 and then look for that dot and come back and find it. So you just created something that looks like a leaf, but it's not a leaf, it's going to be a pumpkin, trust me. Now let's put our crayon or oil pastel or pencil, whatever you have, on that dot again. This time we're gonna make a bigger belly. Okay, you ready? You're gonna go out, 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 and make that belly big, but come back to that dot. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's make a big belly, go out, out, out. Make sure you can put your hand in there. And then back to the dot. Oh, I can keep going. Can you keep going? Look how much space I have. I'm gonna make a huge pumpkin. Okay, big belly, biggest belly of all. Oh, look how big that belly is. I started with the top dot, ended up at the bottom. Let's do it again on the other side. Notice how this time I'm kind of going up a little bit just to get around that big belly. down, and back. Now, you can ask yourself, is that enough of a pumpkin? Is that big enough for me? It's not big enough for me. I'm gonna go again, starting at the dot. I'm gonna go out, out, out. And oh, look at that wiggly line. I love it. Have you ever been to a pumpkin patch? I bet you have. Well, you'll notice that pumpkins come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. And I'm making the one in the big pumpkin section, the really big ones. And they're often kind of wobbly and they're really hard to pick up. But look at my big, big pumpkin. I think I'm done. Now I want to add a stem. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at that dot and I want you to put your fingers on both sides of that dot. Now, wherever your fingers are, I want you to make a little dot. Practice this hand. Okay, now I have the bottom of my stem. So all I'm going to do now is just make a curved line here, a curved line there, and then a line that joins. So you can change it if you want. You can make it straight, but anything that is kind of wide, you don't want to make it too skinny because then it's hard to pick up. Okay, so I have my big pumpkin, and do you know what's next? Grab your scissors. We're going to start cutting that pumpkin out. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to go around my lines until everything is cut out. So go ahead and do that now. Ooh, look at my pumpkin. Now, you can leave this pumpkin just as it is, but I'm gonna add a funny face to mine. So I just wanna show you something though. Do you see this beautiful paper? Do you think I should throw it in the recycling? Oh no, I'm gonna keep this paper, especially because I know I have some monsters coming up that I think I might wanna use this paper. So I kind of cut off the little bitty ends. So all of these little things that I know I'm not gonna use again, those are the things that I'm gonna put in the recycling bin. So go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna put these off to the side. Okay, kids, so I have my pumpkin and I'm still gonna use this gray crayon. But now what I wanna get out is some white paper, construction paper, and some black construction paper. Because what I wanna do, I wanna make my mouth out of this paper. I'm gonna fold it in half and I'm gonna just use my finger to make a crease. Now, whatever kind of mouth you want, it really doesn't matter. It could be like a circle, it could be like a smile. We're gonna make our mouth symmetrical. Now I'm gonna grab a white crayon so you can see it because I'm using a black paper. So take a look at this. This is the folded side. It's like a book, right? And this is the open side. I wanna start my mouth right here on the folded side of the paper. And I wanna go up and down. So this could be a smiley face. You could make it point downwards. You could make it kind of square, kind of fill your boots. So then put your hands, your two fingers, your pointer and your thumb right on the fold. So if you're putting your hand on the open side, switch it around so it's on the fold. Okay, then take your scissors and just start cutting. I think I'm gonna change my mind. I change my mind a lot. Instead of making it pointy, I'm just gonna come around and cut it off so that when I open it up, look what happens. It's a mouth. Now it could go like this if you want to. Now when you open it up and you don't like the look of something, like I don't like this little point here, I'm just gonna cut that off because I don't like it. And I think that looks better. Okay, so put my scraps away. I'm gonna use this again, so don't throw it away. Okay, now what I wanna do is take my white paper and I want you to cut a strip. That doesn't have to be straight. And you can decide. You can have pointy teeth. You can have round teeth. You can have squared off teeth. You can have a combination of all three. But what I want you to do is just start cutting little teeth. Now, some of them are going to be big. Now you can have thick ones, skinny ones. I'm making mine kind of all the same length. Now here's the fun part. If you can still see it, I want you to take the side that has your crayon markings. So this side doesn't have crayon markings. And I want you to put the crayon markings towards your pumpkin so that this side of the face is crayon free. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take a little bit, I think I'll use glue stick. You can use a white school glue though. And I'm going to put that up here. And I want to make a mark on my paper wherever I want a tooth. Now, look what I'm doing. I'm kind of extending the tooth off the edge of the mouth. I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to make as many teeth as I want here. And I'm going to just start adding all of my teeth. Some can be longer, some can be skinnier, some can be off to the side, on an angle. You get to decide what kind of teeth you want. Okay, I'm gonna do the same down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't perfectly cover all the glue, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, looks like I have just enough teeth. I think I'll put a little tiny one right here. Like that one broke in half. Okay, so now I didn't use those little teeth. So now you have something that really doesn't look like a mouth at all. It looks like a hot dog with onions on it. Now I want you to turn it around, and this is where the fun happens. So I want you to take your scissors and I want you to go along the edge of your mouth and just cut along the teeth. Now see all of those teeth that you're cutting off? Don't throw them away. Maybe we'll use them for our monster. Okay, so I'm just gonna put these right here because I might use them again. Okay, now I have a funny mouth. So you get to decide, do you want a sad face or a happy face? So I think I'm gonna go with that happy face. Now what I wanna do is make my eyes. Can you see on this pumpkin? He has white eyes. So what I want you to do now is take your white paper and I want you to fold a little part of it up so that you have created 2 layers. So now you can probably guess it. I'm gonna take my marker. No, not a marker, a crayon. Where's my gray? Found it. Okay, and I just wanna make 2 eye shapes. You can decide what kind of shape you want. You can make like a cat eye or a circle or an oval or a triangle, whatever you want. I'm just gonna make some wobbly looking circle. And when you draw that, I want you to take the 2 papers and cut out both at the same time. Because I tell you, sometimes you draw once, you can cut out once, and you get 2 eyes. Okay, I have my egg-shaped eyes, and I think I'm gonna put them right here. Maybe one goes up and one goes down. Now take a little bit of your black scraps, and I want you to cut out some pupils or the center of your eye. Now you can fold your paper over, or you can make them kind of different. It just depends on what you'd like to do. I think I'm gonna make my eyes just a little bit different. And one's gonna be up here, and one's gonna be down here. Oh goodness, he's a mixed up pumpkin. I'm gonna glue my eyes on. Go ahead and glue your eyes on too. And while you're at it, let's glue on your mouth. Now, sometimes when I glue things on, I like to turn my paper upside down and then just take your hands and give it a good rub just to make sure that everything is glued on really well. That's it. Okay, we're still not done though. We're gonna take a small scrap of black paper and we're gonna make a nose. And I really like how that shape just kind of turned out to be that shape. That looks like a good nose. Sometimes your paper scraps are like the perfect shape. You don't even have to cut anything out. So see what kind of shapes you have lying around on your table. I really like that. Okay, now I'm gonna add some eyebrows. Again, this is just a paper scrap, so don't throw away your paper scraps yet. And I'm gonna put a little bit of glue. Maybe I'll use this to protect my pumpkin. He's looking so frightened and nervous. Probably a good thing. He knows the monsters are coming. Okay. I think I'm done. Here's my pumpkin. I can't wait to see what your pumpkin looks like. My final thing I'm gonna do, I want to hang up my pumpkin in my window, so I want to make a little hole. Now, you don't have to use a hole punch, but if your mom or dad or your teacher has a hole punch, go ahead and punch that hole, and then I'm going to take a pipe cleaner. But if you have some yarn or string, that works just fine. And I'm just going to twist that around. And I have my kind of nervous looking pumpkin. I had so much fun making the pumpkin. Now we can get to have even more fun making our monsters. Now, there's two types of monsters. There's one type of monster, kind of like this guy, that we're going to create on the fold, just like we did with the pumpkin, like folding it over, and just like we did with the mouth. But this time we're going to use the body to fold over the paper to make a monster body. And then the other way we're going to make a monster is by using a whole sheet of paper and kind of making a monster that doesn't look the same on both sides. Either way, whatever you're going to need, and I hope you make both, you're going to need some paper that is nice and big. So I'm using one piece of painted paper and another piece of just regular color. Choose any color you want. Now, the other thing that you're going to need is lots of paper scraps. Number one, if you want long legs or long arms or tentacles for your monster, make sure you have some scraps of paper like this that are nice and long so that we can make our arms and legs and tentacles and all sorts of things out of these. Then I have a box in my art studio that I keep all sorts of different colors of paper. I hope you start doing that too, because whenever I collect any papers that I really like, I like using them in projects. So I have all of these little squares of paper, and you can just use whatever kind that you have. I also have little circles that I've cut out with using paper punches, but I'm going to show you how to cut out a circle too, so that if you don't have a paper punch, that's totally fine. This just makes it a lot quicker. And then I have a little bin here filled with tiny scraps of paper, and I put my pumpkin paper in here as well. Remember how I said to save it? I usually keep them in little containers like this. Okay, so scissors, a crayon, and let's get started. Okay kids, so I'm gonna make my first monster right now, and it's a symmetrical monster, kind of a weird word for a Halloween monster, but I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to make it nice and tall. And then I want you to fold the paper in half. You don't have to take too much time with this, it doesn't have to be exact. What you want to do is just make sure you have your paper that kind of looks like a book, so that when you flip it around, it's like, oh, this is a nice book, and you're opening up the paper. And then you're going to be able to put your hand here, and then we're going to cut out the monster body. But before we do that, we have to make a monster body. Now, I have a handout that your teacher or your mom or dad are going to give to you, and there's lots of different monster shapes. So take a look at that. Take a look at the different shapes to see what kind of monster shape you want to make. I think I'm going to start with my crayon right at the top, and I want to come down. And I think I'm going to make my monster kind of furry. So he's going to have a little line that goes out and then in, out, in, out, in, and then kind of bumps down at the bottom. Now, I totally just made that up because I don't really know what my monster's going to look like, but I'm going to have some fun. The whole idea is for you to make a shape, a half a shape, that goes all the way down the side and then over the bottom till you get to the fold part again. Then you're going to take your fingers, your pointer finger and your thumb, and hold that section of the paper. Now, if you're left-handed, I want you to do the very opposite. So you can be holding the paper on your right hand and cutting with your left. But I'm right-handed, and what I want to do is take my scissors, and I want to make sure my fingers are on the folded side of the paper. And I just want to start cutting out my monster body. Now, I know you probably haven't figured out what kind of monster body you want, so don't you worry. You can press pause whenever you want to draw your monster body, cut out your monster body, so don't feel like you are in a rush. You can just pause this video whenever you want. Okay, now look at this. I'm going to open up my monster body just to see what it looks like. And oh, I think he looks great. Look at that monster body. Okay, I'm going to put it right down on my paper just like that. Now I'm going to make some monster legs and arms. So I want to pick 2 colors, and I have so many colors here. I like lots of colors. Now I was going to do black, but if I do black, you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm just going to put the black away. I like the yellow, and I really like this green. Yeah, okay. So I want you to choose. Now you might not have any legs at all. Your arms might be really short, but I think I'm going to make 2 arms that are kind of, you know, flopping up like this. So what I want to do, you probably guessed it, huh? I'm going to fold my paper in half because, hey, we might as well just cut 1 arm and get 2 arms out of it, right? So take my crayon and I'm going to start, look at this, kids. See how the fold line is on this side? I want the open side. So I want to draw from here and whatever kind of arm you want. I think I'm going to make it so that it's kind of long and skinny, but that it's the same dimension, the same width all along my arm. And then I'm just going to make his funny looking fingers. Okay, now what I want you to do, this is kind of tricky, but you can't mess up, so don't worry about it. Even if you put your fingers on the folded side, doesn't matter. What you're going to do is cut out along that line his cute little fingers. You can make like long, scary fingers, or like talons, or curly fingers, or cute little fingers like mine. Okay, so now I have my arms, and see how they're not attached? That's what I want. Okay, recycling. Okay, so now let's lay it all out. I have my arm here and there. Oh, he's looking cute. Maybe you could actually do it like this. Oh, I like that better. Okay, maybe he's gonna have some short legs. Maybe he's gonna have 3 legs. You can do whatever you want. I'm taking this paper, you can make long legs. Oh, but see how this guy has lots of legs? You can decide. I wonder what this guy looks like. He only has 2. Okay, so I think I'm gonna make some legs that are long. So I'm gonna draw some legs with a foot. See how I did that? So that's one side of the leg, and then a foot. Okay, let's cut that out. So my paper is folded. I'm cutting out once here. So how many legs am I gonna get? Well, if you guessed 1, you're right, because this is on the fold. But if you snip that off, now I have 2 legs. Okay, do that again. And I'm gonna snip off that fold. Oh, look at him. He's looking pretty funny. Ooh, I like this. So I'm just kind of seeing what he looks like. Okay, he looks good. So now that I have my, his kind of long ogre arms, they're kind of ogre arms, and then his little legs, he has 4 of them. I'm gonna turn this over and I'm gonna glue everything down. So you can do that too. So glue your arm to your body, and I think I'll just take a little bit of glue, put it here, and kind of just decide where you want it. Okay, see how I glued it all from one side? This is the back of my monster. In fact, if you want to write a letter B here, you know that's the back of the monster, so that you won't put your eyes on the front. So now when I turn this over, look at my monster. He has little legs going that way and his arms are nice and long. Okay, I have to make a mouth. I think I'm gonna stick with my black paper for the mouth. And remember how in the pumpkin we folded our mouth or the paper in half? But you don't have to do that. You can just kind of make a mouth and cut it however you want. You can draw it first. You can just cut it free form like I'm doing just to see what it looks like. And you can kind of test it out. Like maybe you want a mouth that's more like a circle. I'm gonna leave those and just decide. Do you guys see how I made that circle? I'm gonna show you. put your hand on a piece of paper. Starting from one end, I want you to angle your scissors. So this is kind of pointing directly away from me. I want you to angle your scissors, and then I want you to snip, but then I want you to turn your paper with your non-cutting hand. Turn, 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 turn. And it's like going around and around. And I made a circle. Okay, I think those circles might be really good for the eye. And I think I'm gonna have those eyes right off the paper. So I'm gonna show you something here. I'm gonna have the eyes way up here. Okay, so now I'm gonna take some sparkly paper. I like to make my own paper, but what we can do is just glue down your eyes. These eyes are gonna be super big. And I'm just gonna cut around the rim. I'm gonna get glitter everywhere. Ooh, very nice. Look at those fancy eyes. Just going around and around. There. Okay, so I'm gonna put those eyes kind of up on little antennas, so I have to pick a color. And maybe this color right here. So I'm just gonna cut a strip and cut it in half. And let's put a little glue here. Ooh, flying glue. And a little glue here. Stick that underneath. The same on this side. And now he just needs one more thing, just little whites for his eyes. So I wonder if I have some circles that I've already cut out, and I do. Look at that, I cut out little circles, so I can put them in there. I also have other colors. Look at the colors I have. Maybe I can do an orange. Yeah, let's do orange. So put a little glue there and there. Now, we're gonna make some teeth. Do you remember all those little teeth that I used from my pumpkin? I'm gonna bring them back. So I have all of these little pieces that I've cut out from my pumpkin, and I'm wondering if I can use them again. And because his mouth is a little smaller, I think I can. So I'm just gonna take those little scraps. Now, kids, this can kind of take a little bit long because they're so tiny and they're hard to pick up. I'm not gonna lie to you, but stick with it. You can do it. And some more down here. There. Now, do you guys remember the next step? Yeah, take your mouth and turn it around, and then go ahead and snip off the outside of those teeth, so that when you turn it around, the teeth are all level. So look at that. Oh, definitely looks like he needs to go to the dentist. Okay, I'm gonna put some glue on the back and put his little, I think he needs one more tooth. There we go. Okay, kids. You know, if you've gotten this far, go ahead and give yourself a little pat in the back because you just created a really cool monster. You have some arms, maybe you don't have arms, and that's fine. You have legs, maybe you have 5, maybe you have 10, maybe you have 2, maybe you don't have any at all, and that's fine. And you have some eyes and a mouth. So now we get to decorate our monster to make him look really special. One thing that I really like to do is take my paper scraps. Remember how I told you I collect them in these little bins? Well, I love having these little scraps of paper. I don't throw anything away, I tell you. I can always use these paper scraps for an art project. And what I'd like to do is create a little pattern. It almost looks like his fur. So I'm just gonna collect some of these colors. And oh, I like this glitter purple paper, pink paper. And if you don't have these perfectly cut, you know, fur shapes, then you can just make them. So you can take any kind of paper you have, and just see how this is just a scrap of paper and you're cutting a little, kind of like a finger size width length, and just cutting them in sections. And when you do that, you're creating your own little monster details that's going to be different from anyone else. Okay, so let's glue these little things down. I'm still going to use my glue stick, and I'm going to turn them over and just put them wherever I want. And I'm just going to make the colors a little bit random. Okay, all done there. I think he looks very handsome. It almost looks like he has like a tassel skirt on. Okay, now I'm gonna take some markers. You can decorate with markers too. And I wanna take this blue marker, and if you have crayons, you can use crayons. And I wanna make some lines that go across his arms. This is just adding pattern and detail to your monster. Now, when you use marker on colored paper, oftentimes the color doesn't look exactly the same as the marker that you're using, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna make little kind of, maybe they're warts. I don't know. They're kind of just like a furry leg with my red marker. I'm making these little letter U's. Maybe your monster has spikes, or maybe he's breathing fire. Maybe he has 10 eyes. I can't wait to see what your monster looks like. You use your imagination and you make your monster fabulous. You can also draw around your monster, but quite honestly, I think my monster is looking pretty good. What do you think? Okay, monster one, done. Okay, kids, now we're on to monster number 2 and the Halloween Spark-tacular project party. Okay, kids, I'm gonna make this little guy exactly because I just think he's so cute. But no matter what I do, you can do whatever you want. We're gonna focus on the body shape, and I'm gonna show you how to make this monster exactly with all his little legs and little spikes here. But you can change the patterns, or you can change the shapes of anything you want. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is to draw my monster. Now I'm gonna use some painted paper, but whatever paper you wanna use, I'm turning my painted paper over to the white side. But if you have colored paper, just leave it as is. I'm gonna take my crayon again. Oh, here it is. My gray crayon. Now what I want to do, I want to make the head and the big body first, and then the tail second. So are you ready? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with kind of at the top of the paper, because I want to make this monster as big as I can in this paper. So I'm not going to make just a little puny monster in the middle of my paper. I'm going to make it as big as my paper. So I want you to make a little dot here. And then I want you to make your hands, put the heel of your hand next to that dot. And wherever your pointer finger lands, look, that's how big I want you to make your head. So I want you to draw a line to that dot. I want you to come down along the side, and I want you to come along and go ripple, ripple, ripple. So I started here, I went down, 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 ripple, ripple, ripple. Okay, so now I made the top of my head. Now I want to join this dot with this line over here. Okay, how do you do that without making him look weird? Well, you have to make the body. So you want to come down. So come down straight until you get to be about halfway in between the top and the bottom. And then what I want you to do is go ripple, ripple, look towards that dot, and then end. Now, if you have to change anything on this picture, do it now. You can round out the head a bit. You can make him bigger, whatever you want. And whatever lines you don't like, just go across them out. Now I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut out all the lines that I like to make my monster body. So go ahead and get your scissors and start cutting out your body. Okay, can you see the similarities? Here's my one I did a little bit earlier, and now here's my new one. Isn't he cute? Okay, so now clearly this is the head. This is where I'm gonna put the mouth and the eyes, and this is where I'm gonna put the little legs. So let's do the mouth first. I'm gonna take some black paper, and I have my black paper left over from my pumpkin. See, I don't let anything go to waste. But I am gonna reduce the size of this, put this in the recycling, and I'm gonna fold this in half because I do want my mouth to be symmetrical. I'll take my white crayon so you can see, and I just wanna make kind of a smiley face again. So whatever shape that you have. And you guys remember what I did? I put my finger on my folded part of the paper and cut it out so that when I open it up, it's all joined together. So there's my little mouth. He looks very cute. Recycling bin. Okay, now I'm gonna take some white paper. I wanna make these teeth. The teeth are kind of like little walrus teeth, and I wanna make them the same. So I'm gonna fold my paper in half again. And I don't even have to cut, draw. I'm just gonna cut it out. I wanna come down, kind of make a point, and then they're a little bit thicker. So it looks kind of like a walrus. So now you guys know what to do. You know how to glue that on. So let's take some glue and put it on the back of your teeth. And turn over your mouth and then cut away all that little extra. There. Okay, now I think I want to add a little tongue. So I want to put the tongue right about here. And it's going to be really hard. This is challenging because you're like, okay, how do I do that? So just go ahead and make a circle. A half a circle, I mean. And glue it wherever you want that tongue to go. So I'm going to put a little glue at the bottom of the mouth. And obviously that does not fit. But you just turn it over and you cut away that bottom part and you have the tongue. Now I have the mouth with his little tongue and his little walrus teeth. So now let's look at our artwork. I'm going to do this pretty much exactly like this one, but believe me, you have so many options. You don't have to copy me exactly. And if you have a different shaped tooth or a different shaped tongue or a different shaped mouth, that is so good. Now I think I'm just going to glue that on, add my eyes, and then I'm going to make these kind of funny eyes. Actually, these aren't even eyes. They're the nostrils. So let's glue the mouth on. I'm going to glue the mouth pretty close to the top of the paper. And I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to make nostrils. And then I'm going to make some eyes the very same way I did with my other guy, except they're going to be just a little bit longer. So you get to choose what color paper would you like. There's purple and blue. I think I like the blue. So I'm just going to snip off a little bit of that paper because I don't need all of it. Maybe your sister or your brother or someone else in your class could use that. Okay, I'm gonna fold my paper in half again. I do that a lot, right? That's because it's easy to make two drawings and or two things when you only have to draw once. So I want to come down at the bottom, actually make a big circle up here. So draw a circle and then come down at the bottom and a curved line here and a curved line there. Do me a favor, make sure you can fit your finger in those lines because if they're too skinny, they'll just kind of flop over. So you want to have the paper wide enough so that it can support the eyeball. And there we go, recycling. So now I have my two little eyes way up here. So I'm gonna take my glue stick and I'm gonna put one there and one there. Now, oops, maybe I'll put this over a little bit. There we go. Now take your marker and I'm gonna make my eyeball here. Now you can add some white if you want to, but I think I'll just keep it simple and just add that and maybe some wiggly lines. Okay. And you can move them around, especially when the glue is wet. There. Okay guys, now it's time for the fun part, his legs. And I think I'm gonna make purple legs. Now look at this long sheet of paper. It has enough paper to make so many different legs. All you have to do, fold that paper in half. And we're gonna make half as many legs as you need to. So now what I want you to do is take your paper and I want you to make some legs, 2 lines, and then a little foot. So line, it's almost like a letter L, and foot. A line and foot. I'm gonna turn it over. So a letter L and then a bump. Okay, let's start cutting those out. Okay kids, I have lots and lots of legs. So I'm gonna take my stack of legs and I'm gonna turn my monster over and I'm gonna start gluing them. So take your glue and make a little dot there. And I want to put them this way because I don't want the crayons to show. Now I have 4 little socks left over, but look what happens when I turn it over. There's his little feet. It looks like he's going backwards. Okay, so now boys and girls, you get to decorate the inside of your monster. Now you might have some arms, so you can add like arms or wings. Let's add a wing. Yes, let's do that right now. I think I want a wing on both sides. So I'm gonna choose a piece of paper. I like this yellow. Let's make a wing. So fold your paper in half, and what I want you to do is go out and then whatever kind of wing you want. I'm just using kind of like that, little bumps. But they can be pointy, like a dragon's wing. And then I'm just gonna cut this paper in half, and I can put one wing here and one wing there. Okay, let's glue those on. I can take any kind of marker and you can always add lines like this, or you can make lines that are in a different color that perhaps go like this. Kind of do whatever you want here. Okay, there. Now the only thing left is to decorate your monster. Now you can use markers. So you can take a colored marker and you can draw little circles and color them in. You can take crayons and make whatever color or shapes that you want. You can even do things like little texture lines, whatever you want. I love these construction paper crayons, but I think what I'll do is use these pre-cut circles, and it's my favorite thing. And I'm going to show you that if you have some white school glue, that is good too. In fact, I love taking the white glue and then just pressing down. Here's some white little dots. So I just use a circle punch to cut all of these out. So your mom or dad or your teacher might have some of these. If they don't, you can cut out circles with your with scissors and paper. Here's a big circle. So go ahead and start collecting all of your paper scraps because it's really fun to create little shapes out of them. Okay kids, I really made a lot of dots. So they're not quite dry. So what I'm gonna do is turn my monster over, and then you can take an extra piece of paper and lie it down and just rub your hands over. If it's dry, I don't wanna get in the way of my little feet, so that's why I'm putting the paper on top. So just press it down. There's my very fancy monster. Oh boy, I had so much fun creating this one. Okay kids, so hopefully by the end of this, you'll either have a monster like this or a monster like this, and maybe even a pumpkin. So I can't wait to see what you do. So share it with your parents, share it with your teachers, and then send it our way. Boys and girls, I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. You guys stay safe, don't eat too many treats, and I'll see you again.